Jared, what's up?
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for welcoming me to the podcast.
Well,
Appreciate that.
It is your podcast, and I am the co-host today.
That's true. So you can welcome me. Well, thank you very much. Glad to be here, actually. I'm a little nervous. Don't know where this is going to go.
You never know.
Well, actually, I do know where it's going to go, and it's just based on like a response from even our home gym and just things that we need to drill down on always and keep coaching. And I've noticed it with other clubs that we work with, and it's probably something that needs to be talked about. And that would be how to answer the phone at your facility, which sounds really basic, but we're going to break that down. And this would be a good one to let your staff listen to after, because everything's important, right? Your customer experience from your ad or whatever, all the way through to when they're at your club 3 years later, the customer experience is present always. And so no better time than when someone's first contacting you. So one of those would be a phone call. The other one would be touring the club, like how to tour your club. So, we're in an interesting area. We get some walk-ins, but not a ton. Some of our franchisees and licensees are in different retail space. Certainly our franchisees, we're requiring them to go in these A-level retail spaces. They're going to have a lot more foot traffic, than we have had here at this place, because we've been here 30 years. And so you really need to know how to tour the club, like what's most important, right? And there's like little nuances that can either make or break it for you. So that being said, let's start with the phone.
Yeah, let's. So what does a good phone conversation consist of?
You don't start by asking people what they're wearing.
Okay.
Don't do your deep voice and be, what are you wearing?
Okay.
That works, but I wouldn't do that in my business. But all kidding aside, like try to answer the phone like you're not totally annoyed that you have to answer the phone. That would be the great way to start. So, like we've got a guy that's our manager now, Rodney, and he was in the Navy and he was like a DI, like a drill instructor in the Navy, right? Literally, sometimes he answers the phone like he's a drill instructor in the Navy, like he's going to kill you, right? Not good. I mean, think about it. It's fitness. It's supposed to be fun and relaxing, right? And I tease him about it, but it's like, Alois, Rodney. I'm like, are you in a hurry? Are you really annoyed? It's like, answer the phone excited that there might be someone on the other end whose life you could change. All kidding aside, right? So when you get a phone call, no matter how busy you are, if the music's loud, try to get to an area where it's more quiet, answer the phone with a little bit of enthusiasm. And as a lot of people know, body language gets projected in your voice. So try to stand up instead of sitting down and try to put a smile on your face, because you will sound different smiling than you will if you're grouchy. And you might be crunching numbers, or it might be middle of the day and you're working on some things that are not that exciting. And so you're not in that mindset. But as soon as the phone rings, flip the switch. You're on. It's fake it till you make it kind of idea, right? So first of all, answer it with some enthusiasm, not like you're annoyed. And you'd be surprised at how often that happens. And especially guys are the worst, right? Because they answer the phone like they're answering the cell phone from their, bro hands, right? So I'm like, what are you doing?
Talk to me.
Yeah, exactly. Go for Jared. I mean, we don't want to do that, right? Like try to be a little bit more excited. So that's first. And then there's an old adage in sales that's so true that says whoever's talking is losing. So the last thing you want to do when someone's like, yeah, I'm just calling to get pricing, is just start talking incessantly, right? So you need to flip the script and start asking questions. Part of it is the more that you can get people to invest emotionally with their goals and reasons, their whys, if you will, the less likely they're going to be to repeat that process with another brand. Because, you're invested now. I told this person some of the reasons why I want to work out, which might be that I'm uncomfortable, or, you know what I mean? I'm not happy with where I am, or whatever that is. So you need to dig down. So the questions that you need to ask is first, just ask how they heard about you. Because if it was a referral, if I was like, oh, hey, Jared, how did you hear about us? And you were like, well, I heard from my wife, Michelle. I'm like, oh, we love Michelle. No way. So you're her husband. Oh yeah, we hear about you all the time. So you're the guy that's a really good golfer, And you're like, yeah, oh, thanks. That's immediate connection.
Personable.
Right. And if they're like, oh, I saw an ad somewhere, you're like, hey, at least it's working. Great. Glad you're here. It's like you can make light of it if it's kind of a boring source, right, to the person. But always ask. Plus, wouldn't you want to know where your leads are coming from, right? I mean, how else are you going to know?
Of course.
You got to ask. It's going to make it into your notes, into your software, which is going to tell you where you're going to spend your ad spend, right? Got to measure the results. So, and then Another one would be to ask if they live nearby. Now, as much as we try to do targeted advertising digitally, right? Every now and then we'll have someone that calls in that's not anywhere close to the gym. And when they find out where we are, it's a huge barrier, right? And so I think when you look at our gym, when we track our history, we've been in business almost 30 years. We'd like to think we have people that drive from all over the city, and we have a few. But if you look at the mass amount of people, some 90-something% haven't driven more than like 3 miles in our history to get to the gym because we're in a high traffic area. It's very population dense. So it's going to be important then, right, by default, that they live relatively close to the gym. So if somehow they picked up your Facebook ad and they live 30 miles away or an hour away, you would probably want to know that right away and be able to ask them, well, we're up to an hour away. Are you willing to commute that far to exercise 2 to 3 times a week? It's a fair question, right? And you want to do that before you get through all the other, criteria, because you might think, well, if I can get them so attached to me by the end of this call, they'll drive that far. And I would argue they'll drive it for a minute, but they're not going to stick around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just too inconvenient.
Right.
And fitness is one of those things where, it's not like you getting your hair done and you go once a month like my wife does. It's like, no, you've got to go 2 or 3 times a week. And so it better be like super convenient. If it's not, you're just setting everybody up for failure, right?
Right.
So where do you live? And then start asking them about their goals. And the reason that you do that, so what are you looking to accomplish? And we'll talk about like the most common questions that we get, but it always is going to go back to their goals, right? So it's always asking about their goals. You start out like, how'd you hear about us? Oh, great. If it's a current client, you speak positively about them and, maybe you've heard of this person, right? Second, do they live nearby? Great. So it's convenient for you then. And then they answer with a
yes.
Right. So they're already telling themselves yes, right? You're asking yes questions. Then you're going to ask them about their goals. And they're probably going to try to get straight to the point by saying, well, how much does it cost, right? And I would say, well, listen, it depends. It's a personal training facility. So once you come in, we do something called the starting point session, and we're going to find out all about you, health history, goals. We're going to do a couple measurements on our end that are non-invasive, right? Don't worry about that. But we're going to find out exactly where you are, and we're going to lay out a plan of attack, and then we're going to, prescribe something for you, right? Moving forward. But what I will say is that we're personal training. So the cost per session here can be as little as blank. And in our brand, it might be as little as $30 a session, which is great because if you've shot personal training, you'll know that personal training in our area is $80 an hour is the average. So we can do it for much less, right? Which is great, but it's really just going to depend on, your budget, your time, and more importantly, your goals, what you're looking to do. And then once we make that prescription, we can put a price to it. Yeah. And they're going to be like, oh, okay, cool. It's hard to tell somebody exactly what the price is without really talking to them, because you might find out that I only want to come and work out with you guys once a week, right? Well, that's a different price than 3 times a week, obviously. So, and then telling them that it's personal training and it's prescriptive and it's all about them sort of solves that, well, I just want the price right now. It's like, well, I can give you a range. I can ballpark it for you, right? But you're going to have to come in and sit down and talk about it because I have to give you a plan of attack. And people aren't crazy, so they can figure out, okay, if it's going to be $30 a session and I want to come 8 times a month, how much is it going to cost me? Yeah, as an example, right? So that, and then ultimately, and this is the biggest mistake that I see, is avoid, again, the marketing adage, like don't sell the braces, sell the smile. And we've used this in a lot of different podcasts, and really what it means is don't sell the process of what you do, because it doesn't matter. Like, and we use this through the lens of an orthodontist. Like, what if an orthodontist, when you came to visit them, didn't sell you on the fact that you're going to have a great smile? They told you that, listen, for the next 3 years, it's going to suck. Okay. I'm going to put these wire things on I'm going to, glue some shit to your teeth. And then I'm going to put these wires in there and I'm going to tighten them up once a month. And you're going to be so sore that you're not going to be able to eat any apples or anything ever. Right. And then and then you have to put wax on them because you're going to tear up your lips. And I mean, if you did that, you would never.
Crooked teeth are good.
Yeah. I'm okay where I am. Okay. I like this big gap. It gives me character. But that's it, right? So at the end of the day, trainers and gym owners fall in love with the process of what they do. And that's great. I mean, you should be passionate about it. But keep in mind who you're talking to. If all you do is say, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to come in and there's going to be 6 people and there's going to be 1 coach. And then you're going to take the steel ball and you're going to swing it between your legs like you're humping a camel, and it's like, they're like, okay. I mean, none of that matters. If you told them, listen, you're going to drink water and do jumping jacks and it's going to get you to the goal you gave me, they would do it. You're the expert. So why, map out the process? Right. All you have to do is if someone tells you, I'm 50 years old, I have a knee that bothers me, and I've gotten out of shape in the last few years. I used to be an athlete, whatever that is, right? I want to get back in shape. All they need to know is that you're the perfect place for them. So what I would say is like, all day long. Listen, part of the process for us is to find out about your injuries and see how you move. And, I could roll a rock through here and hit 5 people that have had that same issue that you do. So you're in the right place. Like we've been here 30 years and we specialize in just that. So I'm glad you're here. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. That's all you have to say.
All you got to do is show up.
Yes.
You show up, we'll take care of the rest.
Right. All you have to do is give that person confidence on the phone. Like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, not flippantly, like, oh, yeah, whatever. I mean, but you would say to them,
right.
Oh, okay, great. Well, yeah, listen, I mean, I'm glad you called because that's what we specialize in. I mean, fat loss and working around injury is something that we've done well for 30 years. So that's what our brand is all about. And the specificity of personal training makes that possible. So I'm super excited to get you in here. When can you come in? Morning or evening work better for you? That type of idea. So your whole goal with this is to make a connection, pull out of them a little bit of personal information for your notes, right? Also to get them to dump a little bit, to get emotionally connected to you.
Peel the onion.
Yep. And then don't sell the process. Don't sell the braces because that's the shit part, right? The work is the hard part. Like it's not the time to talk about the work yet, right? Like this is going to be really hard. You're going to work, you're going to feel terrible. You're going to be so sore. I mean, you don't want to do that. You want to just say, hey, imagine this beautiful, picture this kind of idea, right? You're on the beach with your girlfriends for a girls trip in 3 years and you feel amazing and you're able to go hiking and your knee doesn't hurt. You can play tennis again or whatever those things are that you want to do, right? That's the picture that you're trying to paint and you're trying to make this person confident that you can be that person in their life. So that's all you have to do. But you would be surprised if you start out with a grumpy way to answer the phone, you've already lost, right? If your body language sucks, so you sound tired or you're not projecting well with your voice, like you have the enthusiasm, you've lost. If they're just asking questions and you're just answering questions with short answers, how much does it cost? Well, we do 3 memberships. One is this, one is that, and one is that. Okay, done. You're losing, right? The whole idea is like flip the script. You ask the questions. And you don't have to be overly coy, but a lot of times it really does. The answer is really, it depends. So you got to give them something. How much does it cost? Well, we do personal training. Our sessions are as low as $30 per session, which is great because our industry, our average in this area is around $80. So that's a pretty good value. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Oh, good, Jared. Good. I like how you play along.
I'm in.
You already want to sign up?
I do.
Perfect.
3 times a week.
All right. Well, so that's it. I mean, it's not that complicated, but I would say script it, and you're going to have to role play this, which everyone says they know that they need to role play, but they hate it. But I'm telling you, like, I can call our club, and I do it periodically, and of course I just hang up after, which is rude, but I just want to hear how people are answering the phone. And, like I would probably say 30% of the time we answer it like we're short and don't have time, to which we'll correct. But if people know what the expectation is and you coach, again, what's the goal of the owner or the manager? You're like the chief reminding officer, right? It's like you're going to have to do this. I've been doing it for how long have I been here? 30 years. I'm still going back to the basics on body language and voice inflection and answering with enthusiasm. It's like, well, how come everybody doesn't know that yet? I'm like, because they don't.
Well, Alabama football goes through walkthroughs on Friday, the same on week 1 as they do on week 12. It's all the same, right? You still have to practice. You still have to go through it regardless of how long you're doing it and how successful you are.
Yes. So these are just little things that everyone takes for granted, that it's kind of that duh stuff where it was like, well, duh, I already know that. Well, do you? Stress test it. Call your club or have a friend call your club and go through the whole process and see how it goes down, right? See how it works out. So I guarantee you that you could get better. So we're always just trying, it's like blocking and tackling. If we're going to use sports analogies, it's like you can run the fanciest play in the world, but if you can't block or tackle, it's like, forget it. It's not going to work, right? Got to do your job first. So I would say go back and just based on what I've seen here, and we're human and we have our warts like any other business, even though we're trying to be amazing, right? It takes practice and it takes resolve and circling back to the basics every time. So that's the phone scripts. Any questions?
No. So what's it look like for a tour?
Very similar,
I would
actually.
imagine it's got to be pretty similar.
Yep.
We already talked about body language.
Yep. So in a tour in this context, because Jared and I were talking before the podcast, and he was like, tour meaning like someone that you already did like a phone call with, who's coming in for the first time. And there'll be some crossover, but this is a tour, and the better word for this would be walk-in. So this would be someone who walks in your business, who's never been in, who just pops in and says like, hey, I have a friend that works out here. Or they would just say, yeah, I saw your sign. Like we have a banner on the road all the time. Saw your banner on the road, just kind of checking in, see what the prices are, see what you guys do. We get that, right? And certainly now that, there's a light at the end of the tunnel from COVID, we're seeing a lot more straight up walk-ins, which is great. And our franchisees are going to be in these premium locations, right? So they're going to get a lot more walk-ins even than we do. And so it's something that we're really going to need to practice. So first of all, body language. So don't ever sit down when someone's walking in. Like we would like our desk to be standing the whole time, but it's a little bit unrealistic, to have people do that. But if you're sitting and you get a walk-in, so someone walks in that you don't know, they don't have an appointment, you need to be standing. I would argue that during the transitional times, which is on the hour for us, the person at the desk, if you've got somebody up there, they need to be standing anyway, right? So if you just happen to be up there and it's a busy time, be on your feet. If you're not, if it's the middle of the day and someone pops in and you're just pushing papers or doing some data entry or something, stand up when they walk in. Show them energy, right? So stand up, stand square to them, all the body language stuff. Go back and reference that podcast if you don't know. And get out from behind the desk. What you don't want is this physical barrier between you and the person that you're talking to. Right? It just puts too much in between you. So all these little cues, right, are a big deal. So walk out from behind the desk area, right? Shake their hand and then stand there and talk to them. Give them eye contact, keep your shoulders square, right? Don't hunch, don't cross your arms, all the things that would show them that you're not interested. And then we just start with the same questions. Hey, great. How'd you hear about us? Oh, I was just driving by and I saw your banner. Oh, cool. So it does work. Good for you. Glad you didn't have an accident, whatever that may be. And it's like, well, tell me what brings you in. Like, what are your goals? And then you just go into the same type of questions. What have you done before? What have you been successful with? What have you not been successful with, right? And then you want to show them around the club. But again, certainly in this case, because you've got visual, cues, stay out of the braces, right? Mm-hmm. Stick with the smile. So if you're standing in sort of like your area and they'd be like, all right, and they're standing there, you're like, well, this is the training area, right? Don't worry about all this stuff. Like everything in here is going to be coached. I'm going to show you how to use it. Plus the application of all these toys that you see for you is going to be different because again, it's personal training. It's going to be based on you, your goals, how you move, injuries, everything else, right? That we've talked about. And you should have already pulled a couple of questions out. Like, what are you looking to do? It's like, typically it's going to be what? I want to lose some weight, but I've got a bad back, whatever that is. So you can speak to those things as you transition around the gym. Just don't get too in the weeds with the stuff, right? Like this is a TRX, it's made for multi-planar body weight training. And they're like, but you do hear that. That's selling the braces, right? And coaches love to talk about the stuff. Well, remember the consumer just wants you to get from point A to results by any means necessary, as long as it doesn't hurt them, right? And it could be anything. So if you can tie some of the things you do to their goals, but just don't go too deep in the weeds. And as you're touring them around the club, make sure you kind of use assumptive language, assuming that they're already going to join. Like, so when you come in, not if you join, right? It's like, well, listen, when you come in, that's assumptive, right? Your towels are going to be here. So you grab a towel. Here's the cubby. So you'll put your things down over here, right? And then our locker rooms are back here. But typically you'll do this, do that. And then you'll be in this area. And this is where we're going to do our warm up. And so, you're going to meet the coach beforehand. They'll be ready for you. They're going to have all your goals and already, prepared. They're going to know exactly how to train you that day. And you're going to be good to go. So all you have to do is come in, put your keys down. You don't even have to check in. We'll take care of everything else.
Yeah. You're just vision casting
all
the time.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're kind of letting them know this is how things work here, but not in the weeds, right? Not the process of getting them from point A to point B, but more just like, hey, come in. It's easy. Grab your towel, put your things down. Coach will handle everything else, right? And then for gosh sakes, if there's other people in the gym while you're touring them, introduce them to people. Mm-hmm. So like the other day we had a tour and it was like they just stayed at the desk the whole time, right? It's like, well, it would be nice to say like, well, hey, here's Steven, he's one of our coaches. You may, if you're working out in the evenings, you're definitely going to meet him. Oh, hey, nice to meet you. Can't wait. So when are you coming in? Everybody's on board with the same idea of what someone's doing there and what we're trying to do. So introduce them to them. If you have clients in there in a transition time and they're not like busy, exercising right then, introduce them to a couple of cool clients, especially if it's a client that had a similar result, right? Like if you had another client in there that also had knee problems but had been successful, then you could be like, hey, I want you to meet someone, and pull them aside and say, this is Peggy, right? She also had bad knees but's been very successful so far. And Peggy, meet so-and-so. It's her first time in. She just popped in, but she's having some knee troubles and wants to lose a little weight. And she'll be like, oh, this place is great. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What better endorsement? So right. What better way to bring them into the community? Get your ass out from behind the desk, right? Show them around, introduce them to some people. It's assuming that they're going to be there, so you're just already bringing them into the family or the fold, if you will, right? So let me see what else I got. We talked about body language. Also, we have success stories on the wall. So if you don't have a client that's live in the club that you can interrupt to introduce them to, take them to your success wall and have a few queued up that match their goals, right? Well, here, let me show you something real quick. So you see this lady, right? She was very successful. You can read the success story online or you can read it here. But either way, here's what I want to tell you about her. She also came in, had a knee replacement, wanted to lose weight, right? And she's been very successful, as you can see. And here's what we did with her, very similar to what we're going to do for you. So show them something, some social proof, if you will. If it's not a live person, you've got a success wall in there, which we do. Show them the success story that relates to them. And 9 times out of 10, we've got 30 or 40 success stories up on our wall. There's got to be someone up there that relates to that person's goals. Whether it's being a better golfer, training for a vacation, or anything like that. Somebody up there's got something. I mean, we've got so many great stories, right, that we can tell about. So show them your success wall. And whether it's the tour of the club or the phone call, the whole goal is to book the starting point session. That's the induction session, right? And you could call it like the sales session, but that's really like the first time they come to the gym. And so if they pop in for a tour, they're normally going to be in street clothes. They're not ready to like give you 45 minutes to an hour of their time right now. They're just popping in to see what's up. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, I got my kid in the car. I mean, they make up all kinds of reasons not to be there, and they want to get through it quick because they don't want to end up stuck with you for an hour, right? So your goal is to get connected to them quickly, ask about their goals, make them confident that you can, meet the goals, and then set them up for a starting point. Same thing on a phone call, by the way. The whole point of the phone call is to get them to come to the gym, right? And so you need to ask them which works better, morning or evening. Don't ask them like, hey, when do you think you might be able to come in? It's too open-ended. Well, let me think about it. Give me your card. I'll give you guys a call. So you should ask, what works better, morning or evenings for you? Oh, definitely mornings. Okay, well, Friday, I've got Friday or Tuesday of next week. Which one of those works better for you? Give them an A and a B choice, not like a yes or no, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to put you off.
So question, how would you advise a trainer, so nobody at the front desk, how would you advise a trainer to handle a walk-in?
Yeah, and that does happen. So, because we're open at such crazy hours, or in our Stronger One model, sometimes the manager is servicing the revenue, right? So they're actually on the floor when someone walks in. So you're going to have to take a small break from the session, step up there and be like, hi, can I help you? And the person's going to say, yeah, I'm here just to get some more information to look around. Well, you're going to have information to hand out, right? And you're going to need a form at the desk where they can fill out name, phone number, and email. And the script for that would be to simply say, listen, I'm really glad you're here. I'd love to help you. Right now, I'm currently in a session with these individuals here, so I can't break away from them. But what I'd like you to do is leave your name, your phone number, and your email, and let me know when it's a good time to contact you. Are you going to be around this evening? I'll be finished at 8 p.m. Can I call you at 8:30? And they'll be like, yeah, that sounds good. You're like, great, you can count on it. I'm Anthony. It's great to meet you. Feel free to stay and watch some of the session, and I can introduce you to some of the members, whatever you'd like. Or I can just call you after. It's up to you. But I'll plan on talking to you at 8:30 either way, right? They're like, right. You're like, great. That's it. Yeah, it's really simple, right? All you need to do is, again, big smile. They're not interrupting you, right? They're here to find out more. You're welcoming them to stick around, maybe meet a few members, right? Observe the workout, whatever they want to do. But you can't really get too in the weeds just yet. So the real key is that you get their information, you get a definitive time of when you're going to contact them, and make sure you're on time and you follow up when you said you would. That's very important, right? And then you make sure that, again, they just feel like, they were connected to the person that they're going to be working out with. And that does happen sometimes. So the things you need to have ready is some kind of information to hand out to them. Here's some information about us. And you're going to need to have the form at the desk that they can fill out.
Yeah. Very similar to a digital ad. You're always trying to get more information. So jot it down. We'll give you a holler.
Right. And how you approach them, like smile on your face. You're excited to see them. You have energy. You're not like, hold on, somebody at the front, and then you run over and you're like, hey, what's up? I mean, you need to understand what you're trying to do. Now, if it ends up being someone saying, yeah, I want to talk to your manager about some cleaning supplies, you can just be like, whatever. Then you can be grouchy. But don't be grouchy until you find out who it is, because more than likely it's going to be someone who wants to come join your gym.
Yeah, that's part of our 7 core tenets already. So that's what you should be doing.
And here's the way. If you're an owner, you guys, the way to stress test this, again, is just take a friend that is a unfamiliar face to the gym, send them in at a time when no one's working, and see how the trainer does. Did they get the information? Did they set a time that they were going to call you back? Did all of those things happen? It's the only way to do it, to stress test it, right? Mm-hmm. And I know it seems intrusive and whatever, but it's the only way. You got to role play, and then you got to test, right? And then when everybody knows that you're testing, by the way, it certainly makes them more convicted to run the right play, right?
Yeah. Put them under a microscope.
Yeah, and I mean, not in a bad way, but I mean, everybody should work, and you should be doing it anyway. But if people understand that you're going to be measuring it, it tells them in a nice way how important that it is that it gets done the right way, right?
And a good team wants to improve.
Exactly.
You want to win.
Yeah, and if you hire the right, if you got the right athlete on your team, they want to do a good job, right? They want to improve. They want to be measured, right? And so that they can show that they're improving. And so again, geez, doing a whole other podcast on hiring the right person. But anyway, I hope that helps. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's great.
2 really basic functions in your business, you guys. But if you screw these up, acquisition is so expensive and difficult these days, right? We're all fighting tooth and nail to get folks in the gym post-COVID or coming out of this. It's getting better. It's picking up for sure. But if you're not doing your phone scripts and your tours right, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. You're just taking money and throwing it out the window.
Totally agree.
All right, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being a client, and I'll get your contract. I'll get you signed up.
Okay, great.
I've got a platinum package for you.
Oh, wow.
Our average price of a session in Atlanta is $80. For you, it's only $120. I know.
That's amazing.
Wow's the right word.
That's amazing.
All right, I'll see you.
Unfortunate.
Bye.
See y'all.